The elite have been trafficking in children's blood for decades, a practice buried beneath layers of secrecy and protected by power. But Hollywood has never been silent. It has spoken through symbols, storylines, and coded language, not as a warning, but as part of a ritual. Because in the occult world of the elite, there's a rule. Their crimes must be revealed, however subtly, to gain the public's silent consent. Child trafficking is a side hustle for the elites, and Oprah is one of the top adrenochrome pushers. The truth is, she's been normalizing it for decades.
My next guest was used also in worshiping the devil, participated in human sacrifice rituals and cannibalism. She says her family has been involved in rituals for generations. She is currently in extensive therapy, suffers from multiple personality disorder, meaning she's blocked out many of the terrifying and painful memories of her childhood. Meet Rachel, who is also in disguise to protect her identity. You come from generations of ritualistic abuse?
Yes, my family has an extensive family tree, and they keep track of who's been involved and who hasn't been involved. And it's gone back to like 1700.
And so you were...
Right, I was born into a family that believes in this.
And does everyone else think it's a nice Jewish family? From the outside, you appear to be a nice Jewish girl.
Definitely.
And you all are worshiping the devil inside the home?
Right. There's other Jewish families across the country. It's not just my own family.
Really?
Which brings us to the role of Oprah Winfrey, one of the most carefully curated figures in modern media. While Michael Jackson was being smeared, silenced, and ultimately destroyed, Oprah was being elevated in her role as gatekeeper for the elites, and, many allege, as Hollywood's most prolific fixer and facilitator. Oprah used her platform not to question power, but to protect it. While publicly projecting empathy, she played a key role in normalizing elite abuse and laundering the reputations of predators, all while helping to destroy those like Michael who dared to speak out. She gave prime airtime to Jackson's accusers, who had already testified under oath that Michael never harmed them. She offered them not just a platform, but credibility, encouraging them to reverse their testimonies and then legitimizing their flip-flops as truth, even when the evidence told a different story. More disturbingly, Oprah didn't just attack Michael's image, she probed his mind. Those familiar with MK Ultra and trauma-based conditioning recognized the signs. Michael's early fame, isolation, and reported abuse had shattered his psyche, leaving him fractured and highly suggestible. Oprah, whether knowingly or as part of a script, exploited those fractures on camera. During a now infamous interview, Michael uttered a single word: slave. Instantly, an audible alarm went off. Not symbolic, real. His demeanor changed. His posture stiffened. Fear flashed across his face. The moment passed quickly, but for those paying attention, it wasn't just a slip, it was a trigger. And in that moment, we saw a glimpse of something raw. A man caught in a web of psychological control, aware, perhaps too late, of how deep the programming ran, and how close he was to being permanently silenced.
I go on with my work and get it done.
I have to ask you this. So many mothers in my audience have said to please ask you this question.
Yeah.
Why do you always grab your crotch?
Why do I grab my crotch?
Yeah, why? We think you got a thing with your crotch going on.
I think
here.
it happens subliminally. When I dance, if you're a dancer, you know, you're just interpreting the sounds and the accompaniment of the music. If there's a driving bass, you become the bass. If there's a cello, if there's a string, you become that. So you become the emotion of what that sound is. Okay? So if I'm doing a move and then I go bam and I grab myself, it's the music that compels me to do it. It's not saying I'm getting ready to grab down there and it's not a great place. You don't think about it, it just happens. Sometimes I'll look back at the footage and I'll go, did I do that?
Yeah.
So I'm slave to the rhythm.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think the alarm's going off in the house. I don't know why. But
the next piece of the puzzle? A man whose recent sweetheart deal with the feds ranks among the most disgraceful acts of elite protection we've seen since Jeffrey Epstein got a slap on the wrist in the early 2000s. That's right, Sean Diddy Combs. For most of his career, Jackson was protected by his friend, mentor, and head of security Bill Bray. But when Bray retired, others stepped in, including Fahim Mohammed, who had deep connections to the record labels, law enforcement, and Diddy's sex trafficking and blackmail enterprise. Here's where it gets even darker. Diddy's sex trafficking ring isn't a new revelation. According to Rodney Lil Rod Jones's lawsuit, there's proof that Diddy has been running an Epstein-like blackmail operation for 30 years, targeting A-list stars. And get this, getting away with murder. One name keeps coming up in this story, Fahim Mohammed. According to lawsuit documents, Diddy's head of security was more than just muscle. Mohammed had connections within law enforcement in Miami and Los Angeles, and the power to make problems and people disappear. For years, Fahim Mohammed worked side by side with Diddy, helping to cover up crimes, make bodies disappear, and ensuring that nobody dared to question what was happening behind the scenes. Diddy made it clear to his staff, if they were ever pulled over by the police in Miami or California, they were to call Mohammed, who knew what to say to get them off the hook. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. But Mohammed's mysterious history goes even deeper. Before he worked for Diddy, he was head of security for none other than Michael Jackson, at just 21 years old. Think about that. How does a 21-year-old with zero experience land the job of protecting the most famous person on the planet? And here's the kicker. Mohammed was one of the very first people on the scene when Michael Jackson was found dead. Here he is, during the trial of Jackson's personal doctor, Conrad Murray.
Please state your name for the record. Spell your first and last names.
Fahim Mohammed, F-A-H-E-E-M, M-U-H-A-M-M-A-D.
Alarm bells should be ringing. Could this young, unproven security guard, who later helped cover up Diddy's darkest crimes, have played a role in the death of the King of Pop? His connections to the record industry elite and law enforcement make this more likely than not. The case against Diddy exposes a terrifying reality. Record executives and media moguls knew exactly what Diddy was doing. They were at the same parties with underage boys and girls, drugging and exploiting them. The elite were not only aware of these crimes, they were part of them. Which brings us back to Michael Jackson. With everything we now know about Diddy and the evils of the entertainment industry, we have to revisit Jackson's story through a different lens. Who was in charge of Jackson's security the day he died? You guessed it, Fahim Mohammed. Michael Jackson's death was ruled as an overdose of propofol, a drug injected into his system while he was already asleep. But let's be honest, anyone can inject a sleeping person with a lethal dose. It's a perfect crime, especially when you know that law enforcement aren't going to investigate because they are already part of your club. We may never know the full truth, but one thing is clear. Michael Jackson spent the last few weeks of his life in mortal fear for his life. We have the handwritten letters he wrote to friends to prove it. Michael Jackson knew they were out to get him and his days were numbered. His cries for help were ignored. He could only pass messages to friends in the hope that one day the truth would be made known. One thing is now undeniable. Everything the media told us about Michael Jackson was a lie. The web of power, blackmail and control surrounding Oprah, Diddy, Michael Jackson and the entertainment industry runs deeper than we ever imagined. And people who try to rock the boat usually end up dead. Michael Jackson was innocent, and those responsible for taking him down and covering up the crime were rewarded with unimaginable fame, wealth and influence. Diddy and Oprah enjoyed decades of success, and they're still operating under protection from the elite. Diddy was given a sweetheart deal in his court case, and Oprah is yet to face any charges of any kind despite her links. This situation cannot be allowed to stand, because if we stay silent now, the next generation won't stand a chance. Here at The People's Voice, we're determined to continue exposing the crimes of the elite, but we need your help. Subscribe to the channel, tell your friends and family about us, and join the People's Voice Locals community for exclusive and uncensored content. We can't do it without you.